Fascinating psychological tricks that actually works. Can you shape how others perceive you? Have you ever wished you could control what people think about you? Or maybe you just want to communicate in a more secure way? Well, you don't need any magical powers to make this happen, just psychology tricks. Here we have 15 simple psychological tricks that always work. 1. Sit close if you think you're going to get scolded. If you think that your boss or your mom is going to scold you, the best thing to do is sit close to them. The reason is simple: it is more difficult to yell or treat strongly to someone who is very close to you. 2. You will extract more information if you hold your gaze. If you need to get more information from someone else, ask a question. And if he answers partially, just stare at him without saying anything. He will unconsciously feel pressure to answer more and will give you more information than he consciously wanted to give you. 3. Never forget a name again. This is one of the most important psychological tricks, since the name of the people has great importance. So much so that Dale Carnegie, one of the greatest motivational speakers in history, said that a person's name is for him or her the sweetest and most important sound in any language. When they call us by name, they automatically give us importance, because our name is our greatest identity, that is to say that they actually recognize us. That is why it is important that if you want to make a better impression with someone you have just met, you call them by name when you are going to interact. Also, by doing so you will help your memory to consolidate that memory, and it will be easier to remember the names of the people you know. 4. Yawn to find the person who is watching you. Various studies suggest that the propensity for contagious yawning is automatically triggered by primitive reflexes in the primary motor cortex. This means that it is not something easy to control. In fact, trying to control it increases the urge to yawn. That's why when you feel like someone is looking at you, but you don't know who it is, pretend to yawn. Immediately look around you, and whoever you see yawning is highly likely to be looking at you. 5. Learn faster by explaining to others. One of Albert Einstein's classic phrases is, "If you can't explain it in a simple way, you haven't understood it well." Do the experiment. If you try to explain something to another person and you start to ramble and skate, it is because you must reinforce your knowledge on the subject. In our mind we find many ways to remember information that allows us to draw conclusions and think that we understand things. But when we explain to others, we must be totally clear and concise. And that's when we realize if we understand in detail or not. 6. Chew gum to calm your nerves. Studies suggest that when you find yourself in a stressful situation, such as a project presentation, chewing gum can calm you down. Mainly because cortisol levels, the famous stress hormone, are reduced. Although you may think that this is not part of the psychological tricks as such, because there are physiological processes involved, now you know how to help your colleague relax before that important presentation. 7. Improve your grades by listening to classical music. For many people, classical music is quite boring. If you think the same, you should know that Beethoven and Chopin will help you get better grades in your exams. A study found that people who studied or slept while listening to classical music performed better. Exactly 18%. This is due to targeted memory reactivation. Broadly speaking, targeted memory reactivation is the association of an external stimulus, such as a sound or smell, with a newly learned skill. In this way, when the subject sleeps under the influence of that stimulus, it makes it easier for the brain to consolidate that information, turning that short-term memory into a long-term memory. 8. If other people's feet are pointing towards you. Feet play a very important part in nonverbal communication. And a very interesting way to check it is when you arrive at a meeting. Look at the feet of others. The feet of the people that point towards you are indicating that they welcome you. On the other hand, if they only turn their torso towards you but their feet point away, it is likely that they are not receiving you in the best way. 9. Make them agree with you by shaking your head. If you need another person to agree with you, nod in agreement while you ask a question. This generates a behavior called imitation. which makes that the other person unconsciously also nod, and therefore it is more natural for them to answer your question in the affirmative. 10. Think about your pending tasks before going to bed. It's amazing how the brain can work without us realizing it. For this reason, one of the best ways to avoid procrastination is to think about those pending tasks before going to bed. A common cause of procrastination is that we don't know where to start, so we prefer to leave it for later. But when you think about those tasks before going to sleep, the brain processes the work in advance, and by the time you start doing them, it will already have processed enough information to make your work easier. 11. Make a better impression by looking at the color of the eyes. This is one of the simplest psychological tricks. The goal here is to appear more friendly and trustworthy by holding your gaze for the ideal amount of time while you're getting to know someone. And a perfect way to do it is to look at his eye color. Keep in mind that not looking into the eyes is immediately a sign of disinterest. 12. Overcome eye contact anxiety. If you find it difficult to hold your gaze because it makes you anxious or you feel insecure, there is a very simple trick that you can use. All you have to do is look between the eyes, and not directly into the eyes. For the other person it will be normal, and in this way you will project yourself as a more confident person. 13. Increase your chances of being hired. If you have the option to choose the time to be interviewed, make sure you are the first or the last of the day. In this way the interviewer will remember you more easily. This is due to the serial position effect, by which we more easily remember the first and last item of a list. So you know, if it's in your hands to choose the time, do it. 14. Warm hands, sweetheart. A study conducted by Yale University showed that people are more likely to say good things about others if they are holding a hot cup in their hands. In addition, they also verified that empathy is directly proportional to temperature, because people who are holding something cold in their hands tend to judge more harshly. 15. Don't say anything else after giving your sales pitch. Are you a seller? This psychological trick is actually one of the best sales techniques you can use. It consists of that after you explain why they should buy your product, you remain completely silent. After one person speaks, the other follows. That is the dynamic of the conversation. Therefore, when you finish speaking, the client knows that it is his obligation to say something. And if he has no argument for not buying you, it is likely that you will complete the sale. Do you know any psychological trick that helps to communicate better with people? Try any of the tricks mentioned in the video and let us know if they worked in the comment box. Don't forget to like the video, share with your friends, click the bell and subscribe.